Welcome to Scott's Rad Travel Talks. I'm your host, Scott Radisi. Joining me today is Dilworth Daley, owner of Daley's Destinations, a full-service travel agency. Hey, Dilworth, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Very relaxed, new day, loving life.
I love it. I love it. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your agency, all that good stuff.
Awesome. I'm Maryland based, but from the tropical island of Jamaica. And we've been in existence just shy of 14 years this September. Full service travel agency. We cover the entire world. However, our focus is mainly the fun and sun places, Jamaica, the rest of the Caribbean, etc. But like I said, we cover the entire world.
Nice. I love how you put that, the fun and sun destinations. I need more of all of that in my life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I happen to know, and I've known you for a long time, and I've traveled with you here and there. I have a great time traveling with you, and you're such a great professional in this industry. And I know you just returned from a trip to Jamaica. I got to say, it's one of my personal favorite travel destinations. That culture, the vibe, the food. Okay, I could go on, but tell me about your trip.
Absolutely. Originally from Jamaica, so it was important for me to start traveling again. And guess what? My first place to go was my island home. I had an amazing 12 days. Jamaica is awesome. It's starting to reopen. If you want to go somewhere, you should go to Jamaica.
Love it. Love it. Now, I should say, you and I are chatting right now in mid to late July in the midst of the global pandemic. And I think it's so important to share the information, what you experienced, and the knowledge that you have for travelers to help build their confidence in getting back out there, in traveling again. So many questions that, if someone's watching this in the fall, the world may have changed. We can't predict the future, but I think it's important to share what you experienced while you were there. So let's just start right there. Do you think, after what you experienced, that Jamaica is a good destination for people to consider traveling to right now?
Absolutely. Not to minimize the pandemic that we're going through, but Jamaica is very serious about this issue. And just to let you know, there is a over 85% recovery rate of cases in Jamaica. Now that's huge for any part of the world, the fact that they're taking it that stringent. Also, obviously there's going to be different precautions that you have to take. The greatest one being, at this point in time, it's highly recommended to do the COVID test before you go. I would say within that 10-day window, because in some cases you may be tested in Jamaica, you may not. But guess what? If you do a negative test in your home state, like I did in Maryland, and it's negative, then likely you can use that as proof. Or if you get tested there, then it's likely to be negative because it's within that 10-day window. And guess what? If it's positive, you stay home.
There you go. That's true too, right? Now, as much as you've traveled to Jamaica over the years, especially since becoming a travel advisor, what was different about this trip? You've already started to talk about that, but tell me about maybe the flights down there, getting into the airport, those kinds of things.
Absolutely, it's different. Airlines are going to require a face mask. And one of the things I noticed on my flight down on American Airlines was you get to the airport, obviously you need to wear a mask as you enter that building, which is also in the state of Maryland, you have to wear a mask in public anyway. So I already knew that. So I had my mask, I put my mask on, and you get to the check-in, and before they start anything early that morning, they wipe down, they clean all their machines, the counters, the touch screen, everything that's going to be in contact. And then there's also a plexiglass between you and when you check in. And, that's one step. And throughout the whole process, however, the only caveat is that you have to bear in mind that American Airlines at this time is not blocking middle seats. So I have to admit, the flight down through Charlotte from Baltimore was pretty crowded because, again, American Airlines is saying, hey, we're not blocking middle seats. So you are going to be able to be a little bit closer to others than you may have liked on American. However, you may choose Southwest, because interesting enough, my return from Jamaica was Southwest, where Southwest does block middle seats, plus that flight was not as crowded. So whereas going down on American, I was in a middle seat surrounded by others. Coming back on Southwest, I was at the window, but I had the entire row by myself.
Nice. Okay. So different experience on your way down.
Very different experience with
Maybe a
two
little
different
heightened
airlines.
awareness,
Yeah,
if you will, maybe, right? Going down and then a little
yeah,
different coming back.
exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you're on the flight. Well, you come down on the flight into Montego Bay, that beautiful Sangster Airport. Tell me about the airport experience when you arrive, immigration and customs, your baggage claim. If you want to talk about that, tell me about that experience from your perspective.
Absolutely. I mentioned it briefly. Immigration obviously is going to take a little longer this time around. Obviously, you may view this video later and things have changed, but at this time, being late July, there's going to be a series of things that you have to go through.
Okay.
I'll mention one thing first before we mention that. Before you get to Jamaica, however, you need to have a travel authorization from the Jamaican government. That's something that you go online and you fill out approximately 5 days or so prior. And that's something that you have to present to the airline first, and you'll also have to present that to Jamaica. So you've done that. You get to Jamaica, you're going to get off the plane, they're going to take your temperature, and there's probably 4 different steps. Forgive me for the fact that I don't remember them all, but if you remember immigration before or the things that you have to go through, those steps are going to be longer at this time because, again, Jamaica is very adamant of making sure people are doing the right things. They're taking the necessary precautions. There's going to be a series of questions, temperature check, go here, do this. So it's going to be a much longer process. So I'd say to someone, just have a little bit more patient because it could be a little rough sometimes around the edges. But again, just bear in mind, that's all because of the things that they want to make sure that people are doing.
Yeah, and I'm calling it, instead of that new normal term, I call it the now normal because it's something I think we have to get used to. From your experience at BWI and the Baltimore airport to your experience on the flights, I think it's interesting what you saw on the way down and on the way back. It caught my attention, but the experience at the airport as well, there's different steps you have to go through. I think it's something we have to expect now, right?
I agree. Yes. Yeah.
Now, that traveler authorization form, that's something you said you have to fill out online. You're a travel advisor. If I'm Joe Schmo and looking online to book, am I going to know to fill that out? I feel like it's something that's important that you're sharing as a travel advisor.
Absolutely. And that's another advantage of working with a travel advisor because we're going to make sure, as rules change and as conditions become different, that we're privy to that. So we share that information with you.
Yeah, and you have to have that in hand or else you're not getting in.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say it's twofold. I first had to present that information to American Airlines because once I started to present myself at the desk to check in, that's the first thing the person asked me for is, do you have a travel authorization for Jamaica? Which told me if I didn't have that, I'm probably not, I would say this, I'm not going to Jamaica that morning. So that's first. And then even while I presented that to American Airlines and I got to Jamaica, they still ask me for that. So it's very important to have that information because you're not getting into Jamaica without that travel authorization.
Great information, great info. So let's talk a little bit about the hotel experience from your perspective. What do you feel is different today? Is it, hey, I'm going to ask this question bluntly, is it worth going to Jamaica and staying at a resort?
Absolutely. You can still do that. Obviously, you will still have to wear your mask in the transfer to the resorts, to and from, in and around the lobby area, things like that. However, if you're in a restaurant and you sat down, then obviously you're going to take your mask off to eat. You're in your room, you're by the beach, you're by the pool. So I don't know about anybody else, but if I can go somewhere tropical and wear my mask, but then I can sit at the beach and have an authentic, maybe jerk chicken with rice and peas.
Don't you do that to me.
It's not such a bad thing. You know what I mean?
It's not such a bad thing at all.
It's not a bad thing at all. So you'll find that as the hotels start to reopen, there's obviously new precautions and things that you have to do. Yes, you have to wear your mask, but guess what? You're not going to wear the mask every single minute of that day.
Right. Right. And I just feel like as I've been reading about the resorts in Jamaica, and we'll talk a little bit more about everything that's available. I want to get into the real love I have for Jamaica with your help. But really about the resorts and everything, they've been spacing out tables at the restaurants, those chairs around the pools. They've really been doing their part in staying safe. We all, as travelers, have to remember these team members, staff members at the resorts have also been waiting for travel to come back. These are their livelihoods, right? These are their jobs. They're supporting their families with
Yep.
the revenues that are that we bring in as travelers. So we need to understand that. I love this chat with you because I think it helps build up that confidence in the traveler to get back traveling to Jamaica, right, and get back out there. So I think that's something important to share too.
And you're correct about that. Tourism is important to Jamaica and the entire world. So we always have to remember that travel is going to change. Travel has changed, but travel will never go away. And you want to celebrate that important milestone in your life.
Right.
High school graduation of your children, your anniversary, your family reunion. Maybe you haven't seen a family in 10 years. Right. So travel. I just came back from Jamaica. My birthday's in August. I'm headed to Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Talk to us as travel advisors. We're not going to stay home.
Right.
Just whatever is comfortable for you, but do travel.
I think you got to get your feet on the street to really know what's going on out there.
Exactly.
And looking at an online website, there's so much information out there to make your head spin. But there's a difference between information and knowledge. And what you represent, Dilworth, is so much knowledge about the destination and how to do it the right way. Now let's talk about that, because I mentioned that Jamaican culture. You've already got me hungry thinking about that Jamaican jerk chicken that I miss so much, and that red stripe beer that doesn't taste any better anywhere than it does in Jamaica. But experiencing those local cultural things to do, Dunn's River Falls, and okay, I gotta give a plug myself, because I had the chance to play White Witch last time I was there in my little country of Jamaica.
Yes.
Love playing golf there. Beautiful views from that golf course. But what's your take on Americans being able to leave the resorts? And here we are talking, we can't predict the future. We don't know what it's going to be in the fall. But talk to me about what you think about checking out that local culture.
You still can. And since Jamaica has passed phase 1, the tours are starting to come back. Good. So whereas before you may have been able to just go to Jamaica, stay at the resort and not leave, I can truly say you're now able to leave and experience some of the local tours. Nice. Now, not all of them. We just have to be a little bit patient. Okay. But as the days go by, you're now able to experience the tours that you talk about. You want to go to Jamaica and experience Dunn's River Falls. You want to be able to do Mystic Mountain. If you play golf, there's so much to do on the island of Jamaica that it doesn't matter if this is your first time or your 10th time. Yeah. You'll have an amazing time, and you may have also new experiences the first time versus the 10th time.
Absolutely. There's enough to do in that whole country, and those different destinations within the country. You may fly into Montego Bay, but this is where I want you to jump in and tell me about why it's so important to book a trip to Jamaica with a travel advisor, because I look at Jamaica and I see there's so much to do in Ocho Rios. There's so much to do going the other way, if you will, to Negril with that beautiful 7-mile beach. If I'm going for a shorter stay, maybe it's staying right there in the Montego Bay to Rose Hall area. But why is it so important to book a destination like Jamaica with a travel advisor?
It's very important to book with a travel advisor, because guess what? There's several hotels and resorts that you can use in Jamaica. Yeah. And the fact that there's so many different products that are out there, each product is different. Mm-hmm. So based on what you're looking for, you want to make sure that you as the consumer will be matched to the right product. And that's where we come in as travel advisors. Because as we talk to you, whether you're a personal friend or somebody that we just met, we'll have a general idea, a better idea of what's best for you. Mm-hmm. So for example, if it's a family who has never been to Jamaica and they have 6 days, Ocho Rios is a great place to be. Why? It's about an hour and a half from the airport, but once you get to Ocho Rios, all the major tours that you're going to do are probably within 30 minutes of your hotel. Nice. So your Dunn's River Falls that you must go to is going to be 20 minutes away from your hotel in some cases. Mystic Mountain, where you can do zip line, or just the different things you can do in the Ocho Rios, is always going to be close by. However, because you're flying into the Montego Bay International Airport, if you have a 3-night stay, I'm not going to put you in Ocho Rios. I just mentioned it's an hour and a half. Right. You have to be at the airport 3 hours before your flight. So I want to make sure that if I'm putting you in a place that is further away, your length of stay is longer. Mm-hmm. If you're going to have a shorter stay, you're somewhere closer to the airport. Right. If you're a couple and you just want the beach, Negril is perfect. Because again, you can find that 3-star hotel, 4-star hotel, or 5-star hotel right on the beach where you're not necessarily wanting to go to Ocho Rios to do all the touristic things. So it's very important to make sure that you as a consumer get the best product for you, because at the end of the day, once you've spent those funds and you got back home, you had those memories and you want to cherish them for whatever they were.
Absolutely. And you're going to know that. You're going to know that. I mean, over the years, Jamaica has just grown so much with so many different so many different resorts across the whole country, right? And a different destination. Yes. And I think it's so important that you go down there and you check those out. You know, you can find information and beautiful pictures in those online travel agency websites, right?
Right.
But you've been there, you've put your feet in that sand, and you know what the resorts are all about. If I'm a couple looking for that romantic getaway, I need to know your input on which resort to go to, and you'll ask those right questions. And I think that's correct. So important.
Right. And then for me personally, being in Maryland and being from Jamaica, it's important for me to stay current on the trends with Jamaica. And I'm sure people say, well, you're from Jamaica, you know, absolutely not. You still want to go ever so often. So I pride myself in making sure that I, Dilworth Daley, get to the island of Jamaica at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, exploring different resorts, staying at different ones. You may not stay at all of them, but I have a touch of a lot of them. And that way you're able to say, hey, you know, this couple would work well for this particular brand. This family would work well here, and so on. Because again, Jamaica is such a popular destination. The food, the music, the persons, that you'll find that it's easy to get to. So everybody wants to be there. There's so many brands that we won't even name that are in Jamaica, and brands that are coming online because they're like, oh my goodness, we need a property on the island of Jamaica.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where we'll tease him a little bit, right? Reach out to Dilworth. He knows which resorts are the new ones, which ones have gone through renovations, which ones are coming up soon, which ones to check out next. So I think that's what's so important about this chat and having you share some of your expertise. So any final thoughts in the moments we have left with information that you want to share to make sure the traveling public knows?
You know, I would just say that I know that people are very cautious at this time, rightfully so. But if you're getting ready to travel again, please consult a travel advisor, whether myself or someone else, because guess what? We're going to have your best interests at heart. And at the end of the day, with your hard-earned monies, you want to make sure you get the right product for you.
Absolutely. And Dilworth, I appreciate your time so much in sharing your expertise, in going down there and being willing to share what you experienced down there most recently, how different it is a little bit, but helping people build that confidence back in traveling once again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining Scott's Rad Travel Talks. Dilworth, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Scott. Most appreciative of this.
Got it.